Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another Chipman Brothers Tangent podcast. As always, I'm Chris,
I'm Bob.
and we're here for a special reason. We're on video as well. So for those of you
Yeah.
just listening to this, maybe shoot over to YouTube and also get the full thing. But I'll get into that as to why in a minute. But really quick, my $15 or more a month patrons, they are Mason, Christopher Finnick, Patricia Chipman, Hugh K. Campbell Jr., Alex Peregrine, Kevin CV, Mike the Gatherer, Tyler Freshcorn, Mark Price, collaborating online, and my newest patron, Sean Zoltek. Thank you all so much. A lot of you from being there from the very beginning of my Patreon, and for every single patron that I've gotten since the beginning. Because today we're here for a special reason, I want to tell you that today is brought to you by Movie Bob Productions, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Bob and helping him all those years. And if you can guess as to why we're here and we're both on video, one, it's because I miss my brother. We haven't seen each other since early March in person, for Christ's sakes. And we record these things together, but I never see him.
Right.
So I thought this would be really cool to do, number one. And number two, it's because if you're listening to this and you're not a patron, it's because I have hit 100,000 downloads on Libsyn, which for those of you that are crazy YouTubers like my brother and everybody else that has been doing this for a while might not seem like much, but I remember watching the first episodes of this come in, and just one episode getting over 100 was a big friggin' deal. And I looked at statistics because I'm a math guy, and statistics say that, if you take all the podcasts that are out there from your Kevin Smiths and your Joe Rogan and everyone else in the world, and you average them out across everyone doing podcasts, if you're doing 150 to 200 a month on average, you're doing pretty damn good. And that's within 30 days on downloads. And so mine average out to, total, about 1,500 downloads a piece after time. And 200 to 300 to 400 to 500 for the tangent. So thank you all for making me a tiny, tiny little success. And thank you, Bob, seriously, for setting me up with this. And I mean it. I got a beer here. Cheers to you. Even if you just have soda water or whatever, cheers to you and cheers to the fans. Because I wouldn't be here today with all this crazy shit I do without this podcast, which I thought was going to be a podcast for your show, and you turned it into one for me, which I think is really cool. But I wouldn't be doing the Creating Geeks podcast and Talkbuster and Shooting the Shit with Chippa and Hopped Ones and my virtual bar band that just started and whatever else I come up with, because somehow I have a wife, 2 kids, a house, and I'm able to do this stuff and the master's degree and the full-time engineering job. And oh God, I need to drink more. Also, since this is a celebration of you and me and our success, I want to remind people you can buy a shirt with our logo on it. And all kinds of other stuff from Redbubble if you search for the Chippa. And Bob has shirts you can buy for him that are hanging up behind me over here.
There they are.
Because I bought them because I like to support my brother, and they're awesome, and you can get more. And I'm in my basement, which he doesn't live in. You can see on video he's somewhere else other than me.
Wait, hold on, Chris. Hold on. Okay, I don't live in your basement. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna throw this sock across my room, okay, and prove that I'm not in your basement, because it's not gonna hit you. Okay.
Okay. Right. Here we go.
Okay. See,
nothing. No
nothing,
sock.
Nothing. No sock.
No sock.
Okay, I don't know where this got started.
Isn't that poking a similar bear that we're not mentioning?
Well, no, because there's this is here's the thing, on Game Overthinker, we shot an entire pretty bit, the final episode of that. Most of that was shot in your backyard and in your house.
And the majority of the rest of the Game Overthinker was shot at my apartment where I lived before this.
Right, yeah. People can see, your backyard. It looks different now because you've, built a bunch of stuff there. We shot it while you were still building up the yard. So, you've got a garden there now, and you've got the dock and such, and it looks much nicer now. But, we shot that in, the fall, 5 years ago. When we had, when you and I playing, 7 guys and fighting. So, people, and also, other parts of it have been shot in, my apartment. So people can see, on those 2 different shows, that those are, 2 different spaces. So I don't know where this thing got started that like I live either in it, well, the thing of it is because like I tweeted once that like the windowsill where I stored the empty soda cans because that not soda well can soda like cans that contain sparkling water, because if I'm going to be drinking a bunch of sparkling water instead of soda, I'm at least going to get my deposit back.
Right.
Because Massachusetts has can deposit for recycling, and I'm going to get my nickel back and get money. And so I have that, and it fell over at one point because it was windy and the window wasn't properly insulated because it was a new apartment, and that's also fixed now. And people have like to like share like, hey, look, you're when I said people will look for, because I don't have an Instagram. Well, I have an Instagram, but I don't use it because
Right.
I'm almost 40. So the concept of like sharing my entire life in photographs is not something that I like was not a part of my life. So
Right.
it's not something that was ever like a thing. So like there's only like maybe a couple dozen photos of me when you Google my name, and most of them are photos of things that like broke around my house that I was complaining about.
Yeah.
So like people when I say something that pisses them off on social media, go looking for my name or your name, and what they find are these things. So this becomes the thing that like forms my identity.
Of
Is it's like,
course.
oh, so instead of being able to say, oh yeah, you said something, it's like, I'll say it's like, well, fuck you, dude, and then the comeback is, oh yeah, well, uh, your house leaked once and stuff like that. Because the lesson people have learned from the internet is, if you point out any random fact about someone, but like attach a SpongeBob meme to it and like say it in a yeah kind of voice, it turns into an insult. So it's
No, and I get it, and it's crazy because like
yeah,
because we don't have Instagrams. I mean, I have one. I don't know if I've ever done anything with it, and we're not curating a perfect worldview. Like,
yeah, right,
same thing with me. Like, I'll take a shot of my room,
yeah,
on Facebook with my kids playing,
yeah,
and oh no, I'm more interested in playing with my children in my house than keeping my house sparkling clean.
yeah, right.
I must be a freaking Neanderthal like my brother, because they found that same thing, and it's just like, what the
Yeah,
fuck? Like,
yeah, right. But then like I've
I'm
been to yeah, but like I've been to your house when like I've no hell been to your house. I've cleaned your house
right.
to like get ready for like when there's a formal occasion, and Lord be to either one of us if your wife sees something out of place.
Right. No, and
Yeah,
here's the deal. Also, like, this is the house our grandparents lived in. So
yeah,
there comes with a little bit of like ownership of it, to that. And like I've got, all of the original chairs from the
yeah,
original
right,
tables
yeah,
that were bought in at estate sale in the 50s from
yeah,
the dining room table, and they're all fucking broken
yeah,
because
right.
our granddad super glued them back together over all those years.
Yeah, you should explain. Yeah, you should mention to people, for people in this
And
audience.
no,
Yeah,
and I just like, and I've heard the same thing of, well, look at those, chumpy rednecks with their folding chairs around the dinner table. And I go, number one, shut up. And number two, I want to have my family for dinner. What am I supposed to do?
yeah, right. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, right. Yeah, and this is like but it's like that's social media bullshit. Who cares? It's like Facebook shit, whatever.
but I just think it's
No,
hilarious.
it's dumb. It's dumb. It's dumb shit. And
Well,
whatever.
being a guy
Yeah,
that runs a dad group,
yeah,
for
yeah,
fathers, one of the biggest things we deal with new parents is people that can't help but fucking shame one another
yeah,
for how
right.
they're doing as a
Yeah,
parent and everything else. And it's just like people try to share something showing joy, and
yeah,
instead
right. Yeah,
someone looks, well, that thing's out of place.
yeah, right. Yeah, it's dumb, and the thing of it is that like, because this wasn't a thing, like the constant view of people like it used to be when you, and again, this is because like I'm a little older than you, but I feel like you, by the time you were in high school, everyone had Facebook for like 2 years, right?
No, I didn't have Facebook till my senior year of college.
Okay, all right, yeah. So like, so we both remember like the world before this, but like I remember for whatever reason, I remember just listening in on mom and dad, like just talking about like other grown up shit.
Yeah.
You know, of just of the way things were. My recollection of the early adult world, pre everyone's life being online, was that when people decided to have children and they weren't themselves very old. You know, like when people had kids in their early 30s or late 20s, you basically just out unless you went to their home and unless you were in their friend group that regularly went to their home, if you were just their work friends or their casual acquaintances, you stopped hearing from them for 4 years.
At least.
Yeah, and then you went to their house, and after 4 years, their house now looked completely different, but still clean, because you did not go there during the 4 years that their house was
A nuclear fallout zone.
Yeah, a small animal enclosure.
Yes.
You know, where there were two small monkeys running around because that's what a home children looks like, unless you've got like live-in nannies or something, because one person can't keep stuff in order all the time when someone else is working, when there's
absolutely
so that's I remember like when we were young kids, our living room and any room that wasn't our parents' bedroom looked like a disaster.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and so whatever, but now the thing is, because it's like, everyone overshares on Facebook or whatnot, now this thing that used to be something that people knew, but like, it just wasn't like a public thing. Now
unspoken thing.
Aware. Yeah. Everyone is aware that everyone's home, that everyone who has kids, has, just like, toys all around all the time. And whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
And that's just a thing. That's just a thing. And whatever, fine. Who cares? Who gives a shit? I don't give a shit.
No, so, I just find it funny.
Yeah, and so, but that's the thing now, and that's, but like that, but the thing is, that can come up like for anything. It's like, what's like, I feel like this was like a joke. And what was the Vince Vaughn movie with Jennifer Aniston?
Oh shit. The
breakup. Like, yeah, right. This was like the last time that someone thought, hey, Vince Vaughn might be something, and then he wasn't.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, the breakup, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the breakup.
Yeah, remember when he's trying to insult like the new boyfriend that she's with, and all he can come up with is that he has his shirt tucked in. So he keeps repeating. So you're just here with the shirt tucker, with the tuck shirt guy. Like it's not. It's the only defining feature that he can find. That's basically what the internet is. With people who try to like find shit to give people a hard time about is, it's like, oh, so you're with like the hat haver.
You're the hat haver.
Yeah, like, because it's just what people do, so it's like I try not to sweat that kind of shit.
Same here. I just thought it would be a fun way to go into, this is an episode of The Tangent, and I wrote some things down because despite the entire world being lockdown, and despite us not having seen each other for now, got a week or two after our live show at PAX East, which is still one of the freaking coolest things ever.
Awesome.
I'm so happy we did that. Thank you so much. But things have happened. So, like what happens with this show, we usually have someone that's died, because that sadly happens. So Fred Willard, rest in peace, from the Chipman Brothers Tangent. That was, I didn't realize he was 86. It seemed like he aged it seemed like he aged 15 years in the last 4.
Yeah.
Because he just always looked the same. I mean, I think back to, like, how long ago was Best in Show? 17 years?
Yeah.
And in Best in Show, he looked 30 years younger than he does in pictures now.
Yeah, I don't ever remember him being young, is the thing.
No, he had a Burgess Meredith thing going on.
Yeah.
Him and Eugene Levy, for some reason, have always just seemed to be the same age.
Yeah.
But no, Fred Willard, I mean, to list the 330 something IMDb credits he has would be too much. But I guess he has things coming up on the Space Force show, which is coming up.
On Space Force and a few other things.
But just go watch movies with Fred Willard. It's hard to throw a rock to find them. Hell, wasn't he even in Wall-E? Wasn't he like the Pixar's only human?
Yes,
Like he was the president, right?
Yeah, he's the president. He plays the president of the United States. No, there's a couple humans in Wall-E, but he's the only one that is in live act that moves, because the rest of the photos, because the conceit is that they show the humans evolving into Pixar people.
And I thought that was
that was cool.
That movie is getting like Idiocracy is aging into a horror movie.
Yeah,
and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, for a minute there, it kind of looked like Idiocracy was going to be a movie that was like wow, it's a good thing none of that happened. You know what the thing is though, is that Idiocracy has it's turned out to be too optimistic, because like in Idiocracy, like everything breaks down, but also it's no one's fault.
Right.
Like the bad guy in Idiocracy is, capitalism. Like, people miss this, because people look at Idiocracy and it's like, oh, this is mean-spirited, and it is a little mean-spirited. The beginning of it, the problem with Idiocracy is that nothing is as funny as the joke at the beginning, and the joke at the beginning is a little bit mean-spirited, and it never quite can overtake the more subtle joke throughout the rest of the movie, which is, look, all of this stuff broke because they put capitalism on autopilot, and everyone got dumber, and now no one can revert. Like the whole thing where the everyone is starving because they forgot what to feed plants.
Right.
Like that's the main thing, is that they've been feeding, because the company they sold too many sports drinks to people. So then like the automation just said, okay, start telling them that the sports drink is what plants want to drink, and that didn't work, and then all the plants died. So then he tries to explain to them that this isn't how it works, and then the narration just says, and then eventually he gave up and told them he could talk to plants, and they listened.
Oh, I love Idiocracy. It's so hard to watch.
But the thing of it is that, like, the people in Idiocracy are actually not, like, the eventual reveal is that they're not bad. They're doing a few bad things, but they're not actively trying to destroy one another and self-sabotage. They have a test running, and when he passes the test that says he's smarter than everyone else, everyone from the president on down immediately goes, oh, you're the smartest guy on earth? Great, here's power, fix everything.
Here's power.
Yeah, like they immediately say, oh, you're the smartest guy on earth? Good, here's like, please fix everything. And then he says, oh, okay, we are in such a worse situation than the people in Idiocracy, because, like, we have actual smart people, and we're not, like, we wouldn't do that. The people in Idiocracy are actually smarter than us, because, like, the actual, like, smart people are going on TV and saying, hey, here's the very simple things you need to do to not die, and our leadership is going, that's fake news.
It's a hoax, Bob. It's a hoax.
Yeah, it's a hoax. It's a hoax.
It's a hoax, but not only is it a hoax 3 months ago, but they've done the very, very, very best of anyone in the world to stop it now, and it would be 20 or 30 times worse had they not done what they did.
Yes.
So had you not called it a hoax, we'd be in a worse situation. That's weird. Anyway, so that sucks, but to get people out of the shitty world we live in that we somehow got to from Fred Willard, so sorry, Fred. Hey, other things that could be taken as terrible news or good news, depending on how you put it. So some version of Zack Snyder's Justice League is coming out.
Oh, God.
From two people in the room that have done way too much thinking on that, and I, unfortunately, finally put myself through Justice League.
Oh, you watched Justice League?
Well, okay. I watched it in preparation for our episode of Film Rescue that I was unable to attend.
Right, yeah.
So it's... I mean, in comparison to Batman versus Superman, Justice League is fine. I mean, it's not good, but I mean, like, Blade 3 is worse.
Yeah.
X-Men Origins Wolverine is worse.
Yeah.
I found it entertaining.
Yeah.
It's not good, but it's not like It's not offensive. Again, I know that you and I have gone down saying this 1,000 times, and I don't want to get this. This in no way is meant to be any sort of shit posting and dunking on Zack Snyder.
Right. Yeah.
Because I think you and I have both publicly said the majority of the things this guy has done are good.
Yeah.
And I really do believe that. And I think Man of Steel, there's a good movie in there that the script and something else just wasn't there. But at least that movie had a vision to it and was interesting. Batman versus Superman is a mess, but that's a mess on every level. So it's not just him. But what I don't understand.
Yeah.
And again, none of this is on Zach. This is on the contingent of.
Well, I think some of it's on it.
Well, yeah, he does get kind of dude broy about the rah-rahness about it. But what I'm saying is, if there's anyone out there that genuinely really likes Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman and doesn't like it just to dunk on other people, which those people exist, there's no reason why you shouldn't want to see the director that you like get to finish his story.
Absolutely.
But where does this come from? I don't know where the idea, and I know we've talked about this before, that it was somehow taken from him.
Well,
the man, and again, I just don't get it. So the man had a tragedy, a terrible, terrible tragedy, and had to step away from making a film. Now, could the production company have maybe said, cool, we'll wait for you to come back? Sure. So if that's what people are mad at, sweet. Be angry at that. But why is... And again, there's so many other ways you can vilify Joss Whedon in recent times. It doesn't have to be for this movie. But where is it that he's the bad guy in this particular situation? I just don't get it. And this whole contingent of people that are virulently like, now, I mean, okay, I guess it comes from the same vitriol that came from like The Last Jedi. It's the people that either, and again, this is twofold for me. Mm-hmm. They loved The Last Jedi, therefore Force Awakens has to suck.
Right.
I don't get that because I think they're both really good movies. They hated The Rise of Skywalker and therefore The Last Jedi is the best thing ever and we have to screw Disney even though they made both those movies. Or The Rise of Skywalker redacted and redid everything that I loved about The Last Jedi, so I hate The Rise of... Why do we have to pit things against each other? I just don't get how we got here with this.
Well, because it's so much of this is like responding to fan stuff. The Star Wars thing is a different case because so much of The Rise of Skywalker really did, and I think some of it was, I don't think all of it was, but I think some of it clearly was some people in like the executives stuff at Disney looking at the reaction to The Last Jedi and saying, okay, we need to, clearly we pissed off some of the people that we're counting on to buy millions of dollars of Star Wars shit. So we need to massage that a little bit, which is a mistake because now
a huge mistake. That movie was a mistake and a mess. I still enjoy it, but it was a mistake and a mess. Yeah.
When it comes to Justice League, I think they made mistakes in general. I think Batman v Superman, I know there are people that genuinely like that movie. I don't understand why. I just think it's a bad movie. But there are
people that genuinely just love everything about it.
And the problem with that is that not only did they make that movie, is that they made that and thought that they'd made a $1 billion hit movie. Like the studio was all about that movie. They thought that was a huge hit. And they told Zack Snyder, wow. He pitched it and they said, the timeline on this is they had Man of Steel. Man of Steel worked out okay. Box office wise, worked out okay. Critics went, whatever. But box office wise, they had a hit. They wanted, I genuinely believe what the studio wanted with the first plans that they had, especially when they went directly from that and said, okay, now in the next one, we're going to do Batman, we're going to do Superman, and he's going to fight Batman, and Batman is going to be old and cranky. I really do think that what they wanted was they wanted Christopher Nolan to stay on producing, and they wanted Christian Bale to come back, and they wanted it to be the Batman from The Dark Knight and do all of that. And I think when that didn't happen, that when Christopher Nolan said, yeah, guys, I'm not going to do that. Whatever.
Yeah, I obviously didn't want to make this third one. Can't you tell?
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Whatever didn't happen there, and who knows? But they basically gave the whole thing to Zack Snyder and said, "Go," and he said, "Okay, I've got a pitch. I've got not only this. Here's my bet. Here's my pitch." And his pitch was, and this is known, is he said, "Okay, I'm going to give you. You can do whatever you want with the solo movies and make them take place at different time periods. But what I want to do is a 5-movie arc. I've done Man of Steel." And the next one's Batman v Superman, and then 3 Justice League movies, 1, 2, 3, all the way through. And it's going to be Justice League, and because Batman, I'm going to do Batman v Superman. Superman's going to die at the end of that one, and you're going to get your Death of Superman movie, and we'll have Doomsday. And Warner Brothers went, "Oh, good, because we've been trying to do Death of Superman forever, because we think that's a great storyline." Everyone will go, "Whoa, holy shit." And then Justice League will be, "Okay, shit, Superman's dead. Now there's aliens. We need to make a team. Hey, great story, cool." And then Superman will come back, and then we'll do Justice League Part 2, and that'll have a downer ending and then everyone in Hollywood, of course, goes, "Because Empire Strikes Back." Yes, the second one's always the downer ending, of course, because that's what everyone thinks you have to do for your Part 2. And then the third one would have been a whole movie built in that nightmare business from Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
And that would have been them versus Darkseid, and it would have been all dark and epic. And it basically would have been like Infinity War before Infinity War.
Right.
You know, would have, or Endgame before any, and that would have been their 5 movies. And that would.
And I gotta say, you and me both, notwithstanding,
early
shit from Batman versus Superman
looked cool.
Fucking awesome.
Cool,
and there's individual sizzle shots from that movie that are fucking great. His treatment of Batman when he's Batman, not when he's training to be Batman, but when he's Batman, is fucking awesome. Someone putting to film Batman moving like the Batman from the Arkham Asylum games is really fucking cool.
Aesthetic.
He does. It's just that script. And Justice League had the same problem. And even the I don't know. It upsets me. It upsets me from being a fan of something. And again, am I happy for to me, Zack Snyder can be 2 ways about this. It can either be I had a vision and I'm super jazzed to be back to get to finish my thing, which if that's 100% how he's taking it, sweet deal, dude. More power to you. But to me, early shit we were getting after he, came back from the deep dark hole that life threw him into was, hey, I'm going to go off and do some more stuff and heal and get better. So he had other projects. So to me, this is pandering to people that wrote a narrative about you.
Yeah, I'm not sure what this is.
And I don't know how much is what, but he's being super positive about it. Yeah. Good on him. It's going to help sell HBO Max, so good on them. I mean, this is all about making money. Yeah, but it's this whole, like, there's nothing offensive to me about the Justice League movie, but I guess if you love Batman versus Superman, then that movie is really jokey and silly. But, like, I've talked to, like, Eric Vespi, Quint for Me Cool, and other people that were on the set with Zach when he was making the movie and said he was already giving into kind of stepping away from the darkness and the edgelordy stuff. So a lot of those jokes that ended up in the, shitty version of the movie that everyone's complaining about were Zach's things. Not to put that on him, just he was already trying to take it in that direction.
They didn't hire Joss Whedon to make it into a Joss Whedon movie. They hired Joss Whedon because he was the guy they could find who is a friend of Zack Snyder, who worked well with Warner Brothers, who had already made pretty much this movie and knew how to finish one.
Right, and I mean, as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, aside from the weird shit that came out around the same time of Joss Whedon having some kind of shitty stuff going on with himself throughout the years, is there any bad blood with him and Snyder?
No.
Right. So that's what I mean.
It's not anything like that. No, the stuff that happened that kind of like soured his working relationship with the studio a bit, or certain people in the studio, supposedly on Justice League, was Batman v Superman comes out, like they finished Batman v Superman. He took his cut to them, the director's cut, and Warner Brothers said, okay, this is too long for theaters, but also holy shit, oh my god, we love it. We're going to make $1 billion. This is our Avengers killer. Like Warner Brothers was, and I was talking to people who were like writing for Variety, writing for like, I can't say
No, of
I'm
course,
not,
of course.
I'm not going to give names, but I mean other directors, other film. Now, I was also hearing from people who had seen it and said, and they had said, this is going to land like a brick. People are going to hate it. But other people had said the studio thinks that they have a gigantic hit on their hands because they've shown it to like people who make side like statues and stuff, and like CBR people and whatnot, who are telling them, oh my god, this is what everyone has always wanted to see. This is like Dark Knight Returns and live action, and that this is going to make $1 trillion. And it's garbage, and it's going to be a disaster. And it came out, and people went, the hell did you do? People outside of the relatively like then cloistered DC unit that had been putting the movie together saw it. Like the marketing people finally got to look at it to make like the figures, and like the people that were then going to have to turn around and sell more than the rushes to make the figures and stuff, got to look at it at like veterans at Warner Brothers started to use the to bring up Batman Returns, and it's like, you guys did this to us again. You did this to us again. Which, I mean, I like Batman Returns, but like that's notorious at Warner Brothers for, you told Tim Burton to go off and do whatever he wanted, and you didn't check him, and then you came back and expected us to sell McDonald's Happy Meals to a movie which is much too violent for what we were selling it as, and also like a lot of this movie is a BDSM love story with
a BDSM love story with child neglect and all this and like odd mutated people that bite I love it to death. It's so fucking weird.
There's a lot of like kinky sex and violence in Batman Returns.
Dude, and how old was I when that was 92?
Yeah, you were like
I was like 8.
Yeah.
I was 8.
Yeah, you were 8. That was not a movie for 8-year-olds. But
I loved it though.
Yeah, it was great. but yeah, so Batman v Superman comes out, and the critics react to, and the critics just set it on fire, and it has like the biggest like one-day drop at the box office in history because everyone goes home and tells everyone it's terrible. And so they've already moved on. They've already shot a bunch of Wonder Woman. Fortunately, that's good, but it's too late. They're already in pre-production on Justice League, and they cut the order on Justice League from the first one. They've already decided we're not doing 3 of these. For whatever reason, cooler heads already prevailed, and they'd already said, no, do this as 2 movies. And then immediately decided, okay, we probably don't want our next decade of movies to be like this. So, Zach, you're not in charge of the DC universe anymore. So finish up Justice League. Get your script for these 2 movies. Mush this into 1 movie. So basically, drop all the stuff that's going to set up the post-apocalyptic battle on Apocalypse thing. Just do the 1 movie where they're fighting the alien invasion, and leave some stuff open for basically have them fight the one bad guy. Let Darkseid show up in the end and go booga booga booga, and then we'll figure out what's going on. Have Superman bring Superman back to life somehow, which was supposed to be like a payoff for the end of the movie and then lead into the next one. Just figure that out somewhere in the movie. Maybe we're already shooting Wonder Woman and Aquaman. Get that, we'll make those happen. And, maybe Flash and Cyborg will get their movies. Just get this done, and then we'll see what's going on. So already there's a little bit of fatigue setting in. Then he amenable to this says, okay, we'll lighten this up, we'll get this up, we'll change this up, we'll go forward, and it just stops working out. More unfortunate things happen. He departs the production with most of the movie, shot but not assembled at all. There's, at last count, there were 4 or 5. I just did an episode about this, which is why this is all in my head. There were 4 or 5 different, more or less finished scenes in order. This is my story for the movie version of his movie that were comprised the Snyder cut, that were just, here's my story, this is all the scenes and characters, this is the movie. And then there's a 5-hour assembly cut, which is just, here's everything we shot all at once. None of them are finished. None of them have final music, final shots, final color keying. Warner Brothers deemed all of that unreleasable. Whedon came in and shot basically new Superman footage because they didn't like any of the Superman comeback stuff, and they made new versions of that. Pretty much, other than like the scene where he fights where he fights the whole Justice League, they used all that footage.
Yeah.
But like all of the stuff, which is weird because like all of the stuff with that is sort of the dumbest stuff in the movie, because like it was supposed to be all of this, we have to do all of the steps to get it back, and will it work? And he was supposed to come back and be like, bad, and like really set up a whole bunch of stuff. Like they used, I think they had him in the black and silver suit at one point. And then that didn't like happen. So instead, like it's all very kind of like small and anticlimactic where they just sort of decide it's like, man, we're not good enough for this. Is there like a chance that we can maybe raise the dead? It's just kind of like okay, all right. Well, can we maybe bring Superman back from the dead? Like it's kind of thrown out there as like a weird maybe, and then cut to just 2 random members of the Justice League just with regular ass shovels digging him up.
Right.
And then just like, yeah, maybe can the Mother Box do this? I don't know. Can the Magic Box that does whatever we think, like they had to cut out what the Mother Boxes actually do because they weren't going to make any more movies that like Suicide Squad also got changed around completely. Like
yes.
The thing in Suicide Squad, this is also why that movie doesn't really, there's a lot of reasons why Suicide Squad doesn't work, but like Suicide Squad has this completely random generic villain, and also one of the squad turns evil for no reason, becomes the main villain. Steppenwolf from Justice League was supposed to be the villain in Suicide Squad and set up Justice League and explain all of the Mother Box bullshit that comes up in there. And then Joker was supposed to show up at the end of that and like be like working with Steppenwolf. And that was Suicide Squad. And that's why all of that stuff doesn't make sense. And
yep.
all the stuff where like in the comics, the Mother Boxes are just called that because they're called that. But in the movies, it was supposed to be that like the remains of Steppenwolf's actual mother are in the Mother Boxes. That's why he calls them Mother. And so like all of this was supposed to be explained, and then Steppenwolf was supposed to get like beaten, and then Darkseid himself, who would have been in those prologue scenes fighting the Amazons and the Green Lanterns and the Atlanteans. This is also why there's so much backstory in Aquaman, because that was supposed to be in Justice League as well. Like all of that.
But Aquaman handles it great. Aquaman's just like, all right, take this speed and come along with us. It's going to be fine. Just hold on. We got this.
So a bunch of that was supposed to be in there, and we were going to get all that, and then there was going to be all this stuff about, no, there's this guy named Darkseid. He's really bad. You don't want to deal with him. We need to do all of this stuff to make sure there's no Darkseid. Darkseid is really bad. And then we're going to beat Steppenwolf and then go, oh, good, no Darkseid. And then he was going to be there at the end and it's like, Darkseid, brah! And then like it's like, oh, guess we're going to have to do another one of these and go fight Darkseid, because he's Darkseid. He's bad. His name is Darkseid. Just look, we're sorry. We know he's exactly like Thanos, and the other guys already did that, but technically this was first. So look, he's called a new god. His planet's called Apocalypse. Isn't that cool?
I do like, it is cool to see, like, and again, does this mean a whole bunch of stuff for so many other things? Yeah. I'm just happy if Zach is genuinely happy about it, then I'm happy he gets to make his movie. And if it makes some people genuinely happy, I'm happy. Yeah. It is cool to see, like the guy who played Apocalypse in the mocap stuff come out and go, hey, by the way, I can finally say that I filmed scenes. It's like, all right, that's cool. And I did like the David Ayer, James Gunn thing that came out over the last few days where David Ayer said, hey, if people want me to do an Ayer cut of, Suicide Squad, I'll do it. And I give James Gunn credit because he's making the sequel to Suicide Squad that's basically redacting. He goes, let him. It's cool. Whatever.
It's not like anyone cares.
No,
it's like,
it's just interesting, especially seeing, Wonder Woman, which is 95% an amazing movie with a teeny tiny bit of the badness of Batman vs Superman left in bookends with it, and a little bit of stuff with the villain being a little too. But I still love the movie, and Aquaman just being a freaking acid trip of a good time. I don't. Again, just as much as like I could see somebody going with Batman versus Superman, oh God, what have you done? I can also see the studio doing that with Aquaman, but me going, yay, look what you've done. Because it's just so weird.
I hope that I'm glad Aquaman worked out, because I really can see like everyone at the studio who was so sure that Batman v Superman was going to make them $1 billion, like, you know, sitting there shell shocked and like out of money and sitting there watching like the finale of the nearly 3-hour Aquaman movie at the end with all of the dolphins and crab people shooting lasers at each other, looking at this and going, oh God, how much did we spend on this?
Also, Saban should have been watching that and going, "Oh, we should have had him do the fucking Power Rangers."
Yeah, we really should. They really should have.
Because that's what he made.
Yeah, they. Yeah, I mean,
look at the Black Manta. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's quite a thing, and I hope that they get it all back on track. Like a lot of people now are hoping that, like, oh yeah, they'll release the Snyder cut of or Zack Snyder's Justice League, which they're now calling it. And
yeah, I'm glad they at least called it that and didn't call it the Snyder cut.
And everyone will know it's good, and you know they'll have to start this again. No, they're not. The actors aren't coming back. They're going to do some like ADR. They're not going to keep this going. They like Ben Affleck is already done. He's not coming back. You know, Henry Cavill is having much more fun on Netflix. This is
Witcher is going to be a wonderful thing for him, and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, this is all another thing. So I don't think that they're going to do this. I wonder if they'll throw some kind of coda in there that says it's like, hey, this was a tangent universe, like they did with like Crisis, where they had
which was so much fun. I haven't watched it all yet. It's so much fun.
It's clever. They had Ezra Miller like do a drop-in cameo on the Crisis thing to just say it's like, hey, this also exists.
They should have John Cryer come in as Lex Luthor, visiting other Lex Luthor in prison and just kind of looking at each other.
Yeah, so I guess he'll have his original scenes will be back in, because those were there. Willem Dafoe's original scenes will probably go back in because he was supposed to be in Justice League as well. Amber Heard was supposed to have more scenes. There was an actor playing the Atom that was supposed to be in more. There was supposed to be more stuff with those flashbacks with the CGI Green Lantern guys, more stuff with the Atlanteans, more stuff with the Amazons, more scenes with Robin Wright's character still being around back in time from Wonder Woman. Probably more stuff with Lois Lane. I think Joe Morton, the guy playing Cyborg's dad, was supposed to have more scenes. Yep. And I think... Oh, and Harry Lennox's character was supposed to be the general guy from Man of Steel was supposed to show up, and somewhere in there he was supposed to reveal that he's been the Martian Manhunter this whole time. I'm not sure if he was going to do anything, but they were going to say it's like, oh yeah, by the way, I've also been here. This is another thing that didn't come up before that probably should have.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess what it really comes down to then is just if this makes people happy, awesome. I don't really want to see this be a new precedent. I mean, this comes with like the Sonic thing. It's like I hope it's something cute that'll make some people happy because you know the Sonic thing made a lot of people happy. So good on them. It did terrible things for the studio that had to do the animation. Same thing with Cats and all that other stuff. But I guess when you're a user of a product, having some say and blah 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 blah. But anyway, color me intrigued by this because after seeing Justice League, I'd like to see if there's something to be garnered from this. I mean, I did watch the extended cut of Batman versus Superman, and it's a lot more of something I don't like, but it was more fleshed out. I mean, it actually had an arc to it, and it wasn't just the same tone running really, really quickly through nothing like the movie that they had there before. It was just a mess. But you know, I guess I'm happy that I'm happy somebody that this will actually make happy, that isn't just going to use it as a reason to shit on people, get something they might enjoy. Right?
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna have to wait on all of these other things. So, something's coming out, I guess.
But that's in 2021.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm much more interested in like Wonder Woman 2 and
Me too.
and,
Wonder Woman 2 has just looked like, hey, what if we just let the people that were making Aquaman fully make a Wonder Woman movie? And I guess directors are losing my brain now. The wonderful director of Wonder Woman. What? Patty Jenkins has like full creative control over it, and all that just sounds awesome. So it's just great.
Yeah, I want to see it.
Now check out. This is another thing that we don't have to spend a ton of time on, but to move away from negative parts of the internet to something weird. I haven't watched the Tenet trailer yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why. I mean, I've seen the other Tenet trailers, but I haven't seen the big one. I'm as much as people with Nolan in their Twitter handles shit on you and I a lot for some reason. I really like Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
And there's only really one Christopher Nolan movie I really don't like, and then there's also Interstellar, which was a mess, but I like it. But I really don't like that third Batman movie. But it's just here and there. I mean, there's a lot of good things in it. It just, yeah. But anyway, Tenet released its trailer in Fortnite.
Yeah.
Cool. I guess that's a cool way to do. But why a Christopher Nolan movie?
Fortnite's big, man.
I mean, I guess. Yeah, I mean, Fortnite is huge. People love it.
It's because there aren't like big sporting events right now, so that's like the biggest like mass.
There it is.
Done.
I couldn't connect it esports, of course.
You can't run it on like the NBA on like the finals or something. So you run
right, and you can't put it in between DraftKings commercials. Right, no, I get it. Okay, that makes sense. So I mean, this will be the not see parties segment. How does it look?
Looks good. Looks good. Looks cool. It looks. I think I've got. Like, I still don't know exactly what it's about, but I think I've got like. Oh, okay. All right. This is what we're doing. Okay. So it looks very. I can see why people think it might be like I can see why people think that it's Inception 2 or like a same universe sequel to Inception. I don't know if it is.
Well, he has modes, right? Yeah. Like Chris Nolan, for example, right? Yeah. Had before I saw The Prestige,
right? Yeah.
I would have told you that okay, this is him in that really, really cool movie. That's the only movie I think he made that he didn't write because it was a remake. That awesome movie he did with Pacino.
Insomnia.
Yeah. It's like that's him in Insomnia mode. Okay, this is him doing like an Oscar Beatty, more light thing with a lot of big actors. I saw it and it's in a class all of its own. Nolan has yet to do The Prestige again.
Yeah, yeah.
Because Insomnia is more in the vein of an Interstellar but then you got Dunkirk, which is kind of moving towards, but Tenet and Inception definitely seem in the same Nolan vein, which is more the Memento and following vein of, okay, no, this is me operating on my, like Dunkirk went here because he played with your vision of how visuals and time and playing with scene structure and everything can be used to tell a story differently. And I loved that about it. Yeah. Dunkirk is an exercise of a movie, but I love it. So I just don't know, is Tenet going to be more the experimental Nolan, which is what the trailer is selling me, or is it going to be the more The Prestige to me works on an experimental and story and emotional level that no other movie he's made does.
It looks more like Inception. It looks more
and The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight also leans towards that Prestige because they evoke an emotion out of the performance of Heath Ledger, which gives a whole heart to that movie. But it'll just be interesting to see because, I mean, like we've talked about Interstellar before, they weren't writing that movie for them to direct. And so it's like wearing your heart on your sleeve. We don't know how to direct an emotional story. Sorry.
It looks more like Inception in that it looks like Inception. It looks like it looks like it's a spy movie with guys in cool suits, like Brooks Brothers suits doing gunfights and car chases, but with some kind of science fiction-y conceit that is realized through a not overstated but not understated bit of editing trick, which is in the first trailer, but at least in the second trailer they explain, okay, this seems to be what we're doing. Like, you can see it's like, oh wait, did a weird that looks like a weird thing just happened. And then in it's like, okay, all right, now they explained what the weird thing that I think I just saw was. So
Cool.
okay, all right, so it's all right. It's like in the first and second, you're like, wait, what are they doing? And then in the longer trailer reception, you're like, oh, okay, that's what they're doing. All right.
Yeah,
But it's still,
the first
but
trailers with the bending floors and the city full. It's like, what the fuck am I gonna watch?
it's a little bit like it looks pretty cool. It looks pretty cool. So I'm
Cool.
so I'm feeling it. It looks good. And and we'll see when that comes out, because they keep saying, yep, this will be out whenever he thinks he can get it into IMAX theaters. So
Well,
whenever,
right, isn't July still what they're sticking to, which is scary to me.
well they keep saying that whenever they'll get it into theaters. I feel like it's going to be whenever they can get it on the movie screens in New York and LA, I think.
Right.
And that'll be when stuff starts to open in general. I feel like as much as I'm more in favor of keeping things closed as long as needs to be for safe, I think that the hard date that you're running up against is the same thing as in California, where they kind of looked at it and said, for LA County, we're just going to pick a totally random day out of our hat here. We think we can probably get it done by July 4th, which is basically conceding we know we can't keep everyone inside on July 4th.
Well, it's the purge mentality, right? If
Yeah.
we don't let people out on July 4th, they're going to do it anyway. And do
Yeah.
we want July 4th to be in protest or in celebration?
Exactly.
That's
yeah.
July 4th shouldn't be a protest. Like, that's,
Or, if not protest, do we want to let them out and have there be nowhere for them to actually go to?
uh-huh.
So I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of like pressure to get as many safe places for people to like filter into on July, around the 4th of July, as possible. So we'll see.
Right. All right. Now, I want to end this on a happy note, because I'm
Yes.
having a joygasm over here.
Yeah.
So, a couple months ago, it was noted that Scott Derrickson and his
Yeah.
frequent partner, C. Robert Cargill, Massa Worm from Ain't It Cool News,
Yeah.
who's written, I think, all of his movies,
Most of them, yeah.
complete with Doctor Strange, dropped out of Doctor Strange 2 over
Yes.
creative differences with Marvel, which was
Yeah.
a big bummer. But then we find out Sam Raimi's making it.
Yay!
Yay! And it turns out Scott Derrickson dropped out of that and into the Labyrinth sequel.
Yeah.
I'm
Labyrinth.
so fucking excited. I don't even need to know what it is. This is just such exciting news. This was as excited as I was when I found out they were doing the Willow show.
Yeah.
Like, it's something that I don't think a lot of people think they need. Now, the question is, how did they kill the Goblin King in Labyrinth?
No, they did not.
So does that mean we could have a chance of Tilda Swinton doing her Bowie thing?
I don't know. I think even in
that would be so fucking cool.
I think they might. I think it might. I don't know. I don't know if even that would be
acceptable. It's like the whole how exactly do you do the Will Smith genie thing, right? It's one of those things. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they might have to go in either a completely different direction or just not.
Which will be interesting. Like, how do you do Labyrinth? It's great to see Henson Company's on board. Brian Henson's executive producing. I haven't seen Maggie Levin's shows Into the Dark and My Valentine for Hulu. I don't know if they've come out yet, but I've heard they're awesome. Mm-hmm. But she's the script writer.
Yeah.
And this is just, it just seems like it's coming. It's really good news in a very dark time to get more Labyrinth, especially with Henson Company involved, because number one, we just saw the work that they did on the freaking Dark Crystal prequel, which holy shit.
Awesome.
If it's even an eighth as good as that, holy shit. And two, even though people are on varying degrees of their acceptance of the Happy Time murders, despite what's lacking in the script or anything else, Brian Henson and his puppeteers were on full technical level with that damn movie.
Yeah.
And so to see the puppeteering being such an art form that still exists,
yes.
I can't wait to see more things existing in the world of Labyrinth. Like you said, maybe it just is something else in whatever world that Labyrinth was in. Maybe it's just something completely different. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're right. That's kind of like bringing the Joker back in a Chris Nolan Batman movie without Ledger. I guess that's kind of.
I think that like so, it would be one thing if if there was like a lot to Jarrett's character other than
it was David Bowie.
Yeah, it's like the thing like Jarrett was 1980s David Bowie. It's just sort of like that.
Now, but tell me this.
Yeah.
If it was handled in, say, the Dr. Sleep way, where, okay, Jareth is not a main character in the film, but now again, Jack Nicholson is not dead, and Shelley Duvall is not dead, but she is pretty broken by the whole making of The Shining and everything else. So there's a level of care that needs to come when you hire other actors to evoke these people.
Yeah, I'd need to see the context in which they were doing it, and also the fact of it is, unlike with that, let's see what his estate has to say about it.
Exactly. Exactly. This is this is like anything you do with the Beatles.
Yeah, let's see what his family has to say about it. Let's see what people think about that. Let's see what is. Frankly, I feel like also Jarrett's story is sort of over. I'm more interested to see if they get Jennifer Connelly back.
No, and I think maybe they're like, it's one of those things where obviously now people understand that people pay more attention to directors. Like Derrickson leaving is not like even Gareth Edwards, who was only like a one big movie guy. All of us knew Monsters. You know what I mean? But like he did Godzilla, so like, oh shit. Gareth Edwards might have had problems with Disney, but they left his name on it. Phil Lord and Chris Miller with the Solo thing, and then they drop out. It's like, oh wait, people are starting to pay attention to this. Like this is becoming more than just the geeks complaining about this stuff. So Scott Derrickson dropping out, it's good to see that the Bloods seem to remain good. I guess he's still on that as an executive producer, whatever. But man, to fall into Labyrinth.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope it's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it happens. That's this is very early, right?
Exactly.
But,
exactly.
It just makes me. I just did a podcast about Muppets for another show, and this is coming right on the coattails. So with that, is there anything on your brain, Bob, that's interesting that's been happening?
Not really. Things are a little on the slow side here. You covered pretty much everything that I would have mentioned.
Cool. Then I just wanted to say that we're recording this because this is the episode that you will not see if you're not a patron until we reach 100,000 downloads. Woo! Yes. Which is pretty fucking cool. I don't know. to me, that's awesome. Really cool. It's the 27th of May, and we are at 1,150 downloads to go to hit 100,000. So it's on you guys who are now watching this after you let it happen, but you guys were the ones that got this episode out to you in a timely fashion. So the quicker we get to 100,000, the quicker you get to see us.
Yeah.
Or saw us. Yeah. Anyway, that's all I got. Bob, well, thank you. And again, it's great to see you.
Great to see you too.
And thank you for being awesome. Thank you for being a great uncle.
I do what I can.
No, seriously, my daughter, you're going to love this the next time you video chat with her. And I want people to hear this. She now takes the laptop and hides it and says, we're playing hide and seek with whoever's on the other end. And I have to go find them.
Oh, okay.
It's hilarious.
What kind of shape is the laptop in?
It's alive.
You got to get a case for it. Get like a rubber case to put it in.
Yes. Yeah. Well, remember we were moving on we got her a Leap Pad, which she loves too. Yeah. Now that everything this was not an expected world with these video chats. So we got to find a way around that. Anyway, Bob, thank you so much. And thank you for setting me off on this direction of weird creativity that I have now.
No problem, bro.
Because, like I've always said, and this is me being real, you have always been the one that can talk in front of people without it outwardly. I mean, I know all of us have a level of nerves as anxiety, but my anxiety was crazy about doing anything in front of people because I worry about what people think about me a lot. And it actually not only gave me a lot more confidence in myself. This has actually helped me in my job and everything else, which is crazy to think, but it does. It helps me run meetings and be able to evoke authority about things. But it gave me the ability to put out there that I like to sing. And that's where that virtual bar band thing came from. And me 10 years ago wouldn't have even thought to do fucking karaoke, let alone put that out on the internet for all of you people to strangely accept so far.
All right.
I hope. Anyway, so that's all I got. So Bob, thank you.
No
And
problem.
thank you all for coming along with the tangent the tangent with us and everything else I do. And here's to 100,000 more, right?
Okay.
And join my Patreon, patreon.com/thechippa.
Hell yeah.
All right, that's all I got. Bob,
Right.
I'll talk to you later, dude.
Talk to you later, man. Good night. Say good night, Sarah and the kids.
I will. Bye.
Bye.